where nothing would be I'm saying Taurus is like the Borg. There's a lot of Tauruses here. Yes, there are. There are a lot of Tauruses here. A lot of Capricorns, a lot of Tauruses, a lot of Virgos. What is it with the Earth signs here? We're in the Earth sign theater, and only a couple people that are something else. All right. So here we are. And I'm going to check here and see, is Iris here?
Good morning, Glenn.
There she is. Yay. Would you like to pray us in, please?
Yes, I would love to press in. So, I am here only to be truly helpful. I am here to represent Him who sent me. I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do because He who sent me will direct me. I am content to be wherever He wishes, knowing He goes there with me. I will be healed as I let Him teach me to heal. Amen. Lynn, I think you're on mute.
Well, that's why you didn't hear me telling you I might have to go out of here and go uh, give a cat a talking to. Let's see, did we complete this last week? We did, right? Yes, we
Yeah,
did.
we did. We
So
we did complete it.
we're in chapter 6,
Yeah,
the
we've
lessons
actually
of
made it to
love.
chapter 6.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're learning the lessons of love.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to chapter 6.
Absolutely, me too. Oh, good. Someone else got up to go take care of the cat. So I don't have to mess with the cat. All right. It's so irritating because you just go down there and he just is looking at you. You know, what? Anyway, who would like to read paragraph 1 of the lesson, the introduction to the lessons of love?
I'll read it.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, chapter 6, The Lessons of Love. Introduction. The relationship of anger to attack is obvious, but the relationship of anger to fear is not always so apparent. Anger always involves projection of separation, which must ultimately be accepted as one's own responsibility, rather than being blamed on others. Anger cannot occur unless you believe that you have been attacked, that your attack is justified in return, and that you are in no way responsible for it. Given these three wholly irrational premises, the equally irrational conclusion that a brother is worthy of attack rather than of love must follow. What can be expected from insane premises except an insane conclusion? The way to undo an insane conclusion is to consider the sanity of the premises on which it rests. You cannot be attacked. Attack has no justification, and you are responsible for what you believe. You have been asked to take me as your model for learning, since an extreme example is a particularly helpful learning device. Everyone teaches and teaches all the time. This is a responsibility you inevitably assume the moment you accept any premise at all, and no one can organize his life without some thought system. Once you have developed a thought system of any kind, you live by it and teach it. Your capacity for allegiance to a thought system may be misplaced, but it is still a form of faith and can be redirected. Yeah, uh yeah, like uh it does make sense. And uh I I do see it in some way, but I'm not sure what I can put into words. But um, like I guess what I might do is just go through it a little bit at a time, just to make it easier. Like this topic about like anger, yeah, this is really actually very useful advice. Like, I mean, it's really very, very very useful, like just on a psychology level, because like when they use the word anger, uh it, I mean, anger could even mean like something like frustration or anxiety, or uh definitely frustration and anxiety I can really relate to, and anger as well I can relate to, like but I think the anger that I normally feel is kind of like this. It's not like the angry outburst type of thing. It's more like repressed. So it's more like I do feel really quite frustrated sometimes. Like when things are supposed to go in a certain way and they're not going in a certain way, and it's like somebody isn't doing something, and it's like and I do feel like frustrated, but I'm glad that I recognize that it's not them, it's me. And that helps me because that reminder comes into the mind, like it's not them, it's me. Like it's just something that is within me. And so like it's not uh them, it's, and it's like it happens quite fast, because like in my work, it's everything is like quite like quite a lot of work, and everything is quite fast. And so like, and the reminder comes very quickly, oh yeah, it's me, like it's not them. And like, so I'm not reacting to that in that way. But this is very helpful to remember, because it means like that we we have to take the responsibility in that, like we have to know that this is actually coming from somewhere in me that is fearful of something. And it's like uh it's really I think it's really really important to recognize this, um and then like um like taking Jesus as a model for learning, everyone teaches and teaches all the time. Yeah, like everyone teaches and teaches all the time is true, because it's always like which thought system am I subscribing to, like am I choosing? I mean, which it's the is it like the thoughts in my head that are coming from the human limited way of thinking, or is it coming from a recognition, like even the small recognition of, oh, this anger is coming from me, and I don't need to do anything about it except for like look within and just even recognize, and like, and even look at the belief that, oh, I really do believe that something needs to be done in this way. And I mean, is this really true? Like, is this belief that things should be done this way, is this actually, is this true, or can there be another way of looking at things? Um and I think I mean, at the end of the day, like, it also helps, it just helps. I can choose peace instead of this, and I can let it go. That this, like the Sedona method way, like, is there something I want to change, and can I let it be that way? Like, can I accept that? And or can I let it go, this wanting things to change? And I find that very helpful. Like, it really helps a lot. And then this bit about, your capacity for allegiance to a thought system may be misplaced. It is always 100, I'll say like 99.9% misplaced if I'm unconscious. Like, but the moment I'm conscious, it's like the game is off, like, that's completely, like, that is our place of power. That, but like, so it says that your capacity for allegiance to a thought system may be misplaced, but it is still a form of faith and can be redirected. And that comes to like this paragraph that we love, that says that, I must have decided wrongly because I'm not at peace. I made the decision myself, but I can also decide otherwise. I want to decide otherwise because I'm not at peace. Because I want to be at peace. I do not feel guilty because the Holy Spirit will undo all the consequences of my wrong decision if I will let Him. I choose to let Him by allowing Him to decide for God for me. So, like, I think every moment we are making a decision, like in practice, literally every moment. And somewhere it does say that in the lessons, that decisions are continuous, like we're always deciding. And that's why, like, these lessons are so helpful, and they just give us like a roadmap. And like, because mostly, like, we don't know like what to do, because uh like the thoughts of the ego can be so loud and so confusing. And that's why, like, just taking a pause to observe is really so helpful. And I'll hand back to Lynn.
Wow, thank you so much, Iris. Yeah, that is the decision for God. I love that. I mean, we just read that and there it is. That is exactly what we're doing here. It is this decision. And I see Mickey has her hand up. I just wanted to reiterate the capacity for allegiance to a thought system may be replaced, but it is still a form of faith. and can be redirected. And it is actually faith that God is going to take care of everything, no matter what we may be doing. We have a faith, and it is God that we're having faith in, even if it seems like we're having faith in the government or the medical profession or the the Pope or whatever. Really, it is God. That's the only thing that we really do have faith in. We just misdirect it, thinking that we're having faith in something else. And redirecting our faith to God really makes the difference in our state of mind, our peace of mind. Mickey, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Iris and Lynn. Um, what jumped out at me in that first paragraph, anger cannot occur unless you believe that you have been attacked or that your attack is justified. And, in the Course, it tells us anger is never justified because when we think that there has been an attack, there has only been words or actions from others that we're judging, that we're interpreting, that we're saying that's wrong and I'm right. And so if we view something someone is saying or doing as an attack, we're already saying that that's not a call for love. That's an attack. Or that is, we're doing the Holy Spirit's job. We're interpreting what's going on. And the Course tells us over and over again, stop trying to do the Holy Spirit's job. That's what he's there for. And when we're interpreting something, then we're justifying our anger. And it's just a vicious circle. And it goes around and around and around. And the only way that we can stop it is by saying, I am not going to participate in the ego's tomfoolery. I'm just not buying into it anymore. So there you go. Thanks.
Yeah, no more tomfoolery. Tom, get out of here. They're trying to fool us all. Yeah, exactly. That paragraph, that sentence that you pointed out also, you see how perfectly Jesus set this up, even though Helen was completely unaware of how this was going. I can guarantee you that. She was not thinking, how could this go and make sense? But he says in that sentence, paragraph two or sentence two, anger in always involves um uh, oh, okay, no, sentence three. Anger cannot occur unless you believe that you have been attacked, that your attack is justified in return, and that you are in no way responsible for it. And then he talks about how it's wholly irrational. And then he gets to the last paragraph sentence of the paragraph, and it says, "You cannot be attacked. Attack has no justification, and you are responsible for what you believe." So the 3 points that he made, that the three irrational premises, um, and then the irrational conclusion, that really is the crux of all of this, is that we think attack is justified, but not if you're attacking me. Um, and I'm going to conclude that you deserve attack rather than love, which is what that I must have decided wrongly because I'm not at peace. That's what that's all about, is to bring myself into the right mind, out of this insane conclusion, and to consider the sanity of the premises on which it rests. You have to really think about it. Is it possible? And how many times, there's a whole section of the Course where Jesus talks about this, and this cannot be. If you think this, and this is happening, this cannot be. He's just pointing out that all the insane thoughts we have cannot be. They're just irrational. And you have to get out of that irrational thinking in order to see the love that's really there and the hope. That poem that Bruce and I were just reading about hope, the, yeah. Um, anyway, it's all faith that God will take care of things. Mickey, did you have your hand up again?
Yeah, I just had to laugh at. I love it when you point out what Helen must have been thinking in this. It just cracks me up, and I just love imagining, not that I knew her, but I've heard enough about her to see some similarities between her and me, in that I would have been going, oh yeah, no, like, of course my anger is justified, and of course attack is real. And just what I love it when you point that out. Thanks.
Thank you. I love it when you point out that you love what I pointed out. It's a love fest. Iris, please go ahead.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Mickey. Yeah, like like where it says that you are responsible for what you think. Somewhere, you are responsible for what you believe. You are responsible for what you believe, and there's in the fear and conflict section, there's like a place where it says that let me just see if I can find it. I'm sure that I'm not going to be able to find it here because there's quite a lot, but um, there is a place where it says that we are responsible for what we think.
A responsibility for sight.
Yeah, even there, like that we are, like, it does say something like we are responsible for what we feel, and it does say that in the responsibility for sight, in that place. Let me see if I can get that, because it's like, it's really very good, a really amazingly amazing reminder, that that it says that I choose the feelings I experience. I am responsible for what I see. I choose the feelings I experience, and I decide upon the goal I would achieve. And everything that seems to happen to me, I ask for and receive as I have asked. And like, um, and it does say somewhere, like, we think that in the fear and conflict section, it says something like, we think that we are not responsible for what we think, but we are responsible for what we think. And then it continues like, that we are massively condoning our mind's miscreations, and we are much too like tolerant of the mind wandering. And like, and this bit always like, it fascinates me, because it was like, it was telling me that I'm responsible for my thoughts. And but now I've got a better understanding, just slightly, since this morning. And like, so um like this morning I had this just a glimmer of understanding, and I wrote it down because it was very helpful. And I wrote down that thoughts come from the force that is us. When you don't want the same old thoughts, the force within takes a different direction, that of Christ. and that force is the real I, like what we really are. And that I is the one that is choosing the thoughts. And so like when the thoughts are coming by, like you can see, like I'm entertaining thoughts about whatever. I mean, going up an escalator, which is really high, is frightening to me. And so like I'm entertaining all these thoughts about going up that escalator, and and I'm putting like my attention on those thoughts, and I'm massively condoning my mind's miscreations, like, and so it's up to me, like, which thoughts I'm choosing. And that's why, like, we are not powerless. And in that lesson where it says that my Father gives all power unto me, like, that's what it's talking about. Like, it's these thoughts that are coming, and it's our responsibility to, like, choose the ones that are, like, or to let go the ones that are, we know for sure are the ego's thoughts. And then there's like another thought that says that, like, I can choose peace instead of this. And uh and the thoughts that we are thinking, what that means to me is like the verb of thinking. Like, that's the one that I'm paying attention to, and that is what's meant by thinking. Like, it's so wherever, like, the thoughts are coming from, uh like thoughts about anything, like even anything, even a situation, like any situation that is distressing. And like, it really it's really valuable. And I can see, like, why it's called mind training, because it really takes, like, us to be really alert, like, when this is happening. And like, I think a standard person is probably not as alert. And I think this is like just awakening us to being, like, alert to what kinds of things we are entertaining. And like, and this morning, when it was like, when you don't want to think those same old thoughts, when you don't want to, like, think about the same old stuff, like, on replay, I have the power to say no, and I don't want to do this. And but that takes a while. It does take a while, because it's like drinking. And it's like, there's this part of a person that says, like, oh, it'll be different this time, or like, that this isn't gonna do much. But there comes a point when it's just like, I can't do this anymore, and I'm really willing to see things differently. I'm really willing to see things differently, because it's not the way that I think. And those are, like, in the first 10 lessons. That's why I really love the first 10 lessons, but that's why they're so difficult. Like, nothing I see here means anything. And I've given everything all the meaning that it has. I've given it, like, the real I. And by focusing on those thoughts, and so it's really like something to practice, like, really practice a lot. And I'll hand back to Lynn.
Thank you so much, Iris. Wow. Yes, that's it. And Reed just posted in the chat, which is one of my favorite lessons as well, in which I quote a lot. Lesson 236, I rule my mind, which I alone must rule. I have a kingdom I must rule. At times it does not seem I am its king at all. It seems to triumph over me and tell me what to think and what to do and feel. And yet it has been given me to serve whatever purpose I perceive in it. My mind can only serve. Today I give its service to the Holy Spirit to employ as he sees fit. I thus direct my mind which I alone can rule. And thus I set it free to do the will of God. And then the prayer that goes with it says, Father, my mind is open to your thoughts and closed today to every thought but yours. I rule my mind and offer it to you. Accept my gift, for it is yours to me. And that's exactly what you're talking about, Iris. I rule my mind. It is my kingdom. I must rule it. And therefore, when things at work get crazy, or there's a thought system that's being offered to me, or that I'm deciding on a thought system and deciding how I'm going to see things, what I'm going to think about it, all of those things, those are all in my own thinking. And as Jesus says here, this um, uh, no one can organize his life without some thought system. And that is exactly what we're doing here. We're developing our minds and our own thought system, the thought system of A Course in Miracles, which is teaching us that nothing here, nothing I see here means anything. And all the other ones that you just talked about, the first few 10 lessons or whatever, that is the establishment of the thought system. That is the establishment of the thought system. And when I decide that that is the thought system that I am going to use, it makes sense to me or not, I agree with it or not. Yeah, I cannot tell you how many years it took for me to come to the place where I recognized that when I was reading Responsibility for Sight, I was not responsible for the world. I was responsible for the world I see, the world I see. And how many times does Jesus say the world I see in the Course? And of course, I was just skipping through it and just going, the world, the world, the world. No, it's the world I see through my mind, through my thoughts, through my decisions, through my interpretations. That's really what it is. And so we're going to be reading and talking about the lessons of love. I think Jesus has given us a great introduction here because he's set the stage. All right, you're responsible. Here's how you're thinking. This is where you're getting your ideas from. Remember this. This is something I've heard many, many, many times. Everyone teaches and teaches all the time. This is a responsibility you inevitably assume the moment you accept any premise at all. That doesn't mean just the Course. Every premise we accept, we teach it. And no one can organize his life without some thought system. So I'm just changing the thought system that I am teaching myself and the world by changing my mind about the world, changing the mind about what I see. And yeah, Karen says the power of decision is your one remaining freedom as a prisoner of this world. And Mickey says the world I see and my interpretation of the world I see. Yeah, it is, and that all you have to do is the world I see is interpreted through my thought system. That's it. The world I see is interpreted through my thought system. And I'm responsible for maintaining the thought system. And I can either make the thought system stronger or weaker by my argument about it, my thought that attack is happening, my fears. Those are all those are really shitty ways to form a thought system based on attack and defense, because that's all your life is going to be. You're going to live in fear. And Jesus is offering us a different thought system that once we shift our mind to see it his way, we see that it is love, and love is all it can be. And when we shift our mind to see a world of love, we've given up the basis for, there's no justification for attack. None. All right, does anybody else have any thoughts about this introduction before we go on to the chapter, the lessons of love? Oh, yay, the message of the crucifixion. Talk about your attack defense. We've just been going over this the last couple of months. Who would like to read paragraph 1 of the message of the crucifixion? Okay, I will read it. You'll get to hear this voice some more. The message of the crucifixion. For learning purposes, let us consider the crucifixion again. I did not dwell on it before because of the fearful connotations you may associate with it. So this is Jesus talking to Helen right now. If you recognize that he's talking to Helen, who has this fearful thoughts about the crucifixion. And I'm sure I can just imagine, because being a little girl who had no exposure to uh, this horrific business, and then only being able to peek through the door at the church. And of course, at these churches, the Catholic Church, if you're Catholic, there's like this dominant Jesus on the cross crucifixion in the front, in the middle of the above the altar or near the altar. That is horrific. And it's generally a statue of a man on a cross, and he's got nails through his hands and his feet, and there's blood dripping. He's got a big old gash in his side, and there's blood dripping, and he's just wearing a sheet around his waist because they took all his clothes, and he's got a crown of thorns on his head, and there's blood dripping. And he's looking all horrified. So I can just imagine Helen as a little girl, peeking through into that beautiful, beautiful church, beautiful cathedral, wherever. I mean, I know they're always just so lovely. And then seeing this horrific vision of the crucifixion, I'm sure that she had some ideas about it. So he says, he's telling her, for learning purposes, yeah, let us consider the crucifixion again. I did not dwell on it before because of the fearful connotations you may associate with it. The only emphasis I laid upon it so far has been that it was not a form of punishment. Nothing, however, can be explained in negative terms only. There is a positive interpretation of the crucifixion that is wholly devoid of fear, and therefore wholly, completely wholly, benign in what it teaches, if it is properly understood. So, so he's going to tell her, here's how you can look at that without being afraid. And I'm just going to go on to the next paragraph, and we'll talk about both of them if there's anyone who wants to share. Okay, so paragraph 2 says, the crucifixion is nothing more than extreme example. Its value, like the value of any teaching device, lies solely in the kind of learning it facilitates. It can be and has been misunderstood. This is only because the fearful are apt to perceive fearfully. I have already told you that you can always call on me to share my decision and thus make it stronger. I have also told you that the crucifixion was the last useless journey the sonship need take, and that it represents release from fear to anyone who understands it. While I emphasized only the resurrection before, the purpose of the crucifixion and how it actually led to the resurrection was not clarified then. Nevertheless, it has a definite contribution to make to your own life, and if you will consider it without fear, it will help you understand your own role as a teacher. And so Jesus is going to, this is valuable information. It's so funny because I'm just sitting here, and I have a little uh, container here that I have like all my rosaries and my prayer beads and all that business in. And I was looking at my sister, this was my sister's rosary. I'm going to put on my camera for just a sec. Don't mind the hair, don't mind the, whatever. All right, so this was my sister's rosary. She passed away a few years ago, but there's the Jesus on it, and you can see it's really tarnished because it's silver, and I haven't been, I don't use this one. I just was thinking this morning, why don't I use that rosary? Because there's no reason why not. Um, Anywho, so that's why I dug it out. So I'm gonna start using it. Anyway, I felt blessed that I got to have it. Um, and so, but I was looking at the Jesus on the cross and I was thinking, oh, how they taught me from early childhood, what a miserable and sad thing this was and how joyful I am to find a Course in Miracles. I'll tell you why I'm joyful that the Course in Miracles teaches as it does, is because I always wondered why in the world would he be sad? I can never figure out why would he be sad. He absolutely the question that all of us and every single human being in the world that has ever lived has always wanted to have an established relationship with God, to know God, to hear God's voice. Every single human has always longed to be one with God, to remember God. And, that's all I've ever thought about. And I know you guys too, not because, I just know that that's the truth, that we all want God. So I always felt it was so weird because he knew God, he talked to God, God talked back to him. He could do all these miracles, miraculous things. Uh, and he was basically like a superhero. He was beyond uh being human. And so, and he knew if he knew that he was going to die in the body, that only meant that he would return to God. Of course, this is what I was thinking when I was a kid. He's going to be seeing God this afternoon. Come on, give me a break. Make me run the gauntlet, beat me up, throw things at me, spit at me, cut me, take away everything I have, do all this humiliating stuff to me. Ha ha ha. I'm having dinner with God tonight. And I'm taking this guy next to me on the cross with me. Of course, that's when I believed that the one thief would go with him. He said, "Today you'll be in heaven with me." Thinking, he knows he's going to be in heaven today. What the hell does he care about all this stuff? And I went down, I met a guy on the plane who is a sculptor and he does all these for churches. He does all these beautiful sculptures, big sculptures for the churches. And I asked him, did you ever think about making Jesus look happy? These crucifix sculptures that you do. Do you ever think about, making it seem like he was happy? Because don't you think he was happy? Especially think about this. If the Christian thought is that what he did was he saved the entirety of God's creation, saved every son and daughter that had ever lived through his devotion, through this thing he did, that he set us all free. I would be ecstatic. I would be ecstatic if I knew that that was what was happening. I couldn't even imagine being upset about it. And this is what Jesus, when I read it in the Course of Miracles, I'm like, bingo, that's it. I knew it. You couldn't fool me with your sad face and your wounds and your crown of thorns and your droopy eyes. Jesus looked at me when I was little. I was in the church, and I swear to you, he turned his head and he looked at me and he winked his eye and smiled. I saw that, and I knew that it was a joke. But don't ever tell anybody that because you'll get in a lot of trouble. Jesus doesn't do that. Statues are not alive. Whatever. Uh, but there we go. Uh, looking at the crucifixion as a thing of fear is is a mistake. We could just look at it and say, looky there. And plus, the other thing that was so cool about it was he came back alive. A couple days later, he was back. The third day, boom, boom, he was back. Wake up and roll away the stone, and there he is, just like he was before. He didn't even really die. And the church has some idea about where he went during that time. I don't think he went anywhere. I honestly don't think he went anywhere. He just that he wasn't here in the first place. Iris, yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you, Lynn. Yeah, like you're right because like I mean, I've been thinking about this like as for a very long time about how it's just I really find it impossible to like believe, and I really do think like not only that, but like so many of our traditions, like all different traditions and what do you call them, like just ways of thinking, and it's just kind of really just made up, and it's really is like not true, and and this paragraph about crucifixion, yeah, like of course, it just reminds me of like because yesterday I had coffee with like a couple of people, and one of the people there was saying that even this thing about like that I'm not allowed to do something, like I mean I heard that a lot when I was a kid, like I wasn't allowed to do anything. And this morning I just laughed, and it was like, oh my gosh, it's like I'm not allowed to live. Like, it's like just silly things, like, and it's just so silly. Like, and nobody questioned it. It was like, you're not allowed to do that. You shouldn't be doing that, and it's just that we're brought up with this kind of way of thinking, which is all fear based. Like, it's all fear, and starting with like school and like learning about how I'm a sinner, and then like not being allowed to do all this stuff, and like and that person yesterday was saying that she was saying like, oh, I've got a very progressive thinking, and I was listening because I find it fascinating, like just to listen to what people say, like, and but I really loved what she was saying. She's like, and here's to like, fearless decision making, and I was like, oh my gosh, you're speaking my language. And I really loved it. And it's like and these people are not like studying any like teachings. This was just it was just a conversation with just everyday people, and like, and she's like, here's to fearless decision making, and I was like, amazing. I love that, and that people are realizing, like she is realizing, and I think people are realizing that a lot of this stuff is just literally nonsense, and that we've just given too much, what's the word, like we've just allowed it to, like we haven't even questioned it, like, and so I'll just hand back to Lynn.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we haven't even questioned it. Says who? Who said? Who said I can't do this? Who said I can't do this? Well, there's a law against it and you can't do. Oh, okay. I'll be okay with that. But who says I can't step on a crack or I'll break my mother's back? I mean, seriously, There's I grew up with all those, and I'm sure you guys did too. All those my grandma was, oh man, she was full of uh all these old sayings, old-timey sayings. So anything that happened, if you're washing the dishes and you drop a knife, oh, that means a man is coming to visit. Or a spoon, a child, or a fork, or whatever. There was like all these little what do you call it, superstitions about things. And when I look at the world and the law, the rules that people follow here, mostly they are superstitions. It has nothing to do with any reality at all. It has to do with the belief that I have that I can be harmed, and it's like a little hex that I do, or a little spell that I do to protect myself from this whatever thing out here in the world that might harm me. And it could be I go and get a vaccine, or it could be that I take, some drug, like I'm taking all these drugs now that are like, doing all kind of weird stuff to me. But I'm still doing it, I'm still doing it because now that I've started, I'm afraid if I stop, that things will go bad again. And so I'm believing that this stuff is helping me, and it could be a placebo. I don't even know. It actually is, because Jesus tells us that they don't really do anything. But I'm doing it anyway because um, not only does it make my doctor happy that I'm complying, but it also, and I think my doctor's actually even experimenting on me to see if things work. But then also my family, who would be really upset with me if I said I'm not going to do this anymore, because they're fully believing that I would die if I didn't. So, I'm trying to please all these people by, taking all these chemicals. And, uh, why not? We're made out of chemicals, the body is. Somehow something tells that chemical, oh, you got to come over here and do this. I don't know how that happens. It's a mystery. I think it's magic. It is, but that's how it works. So that's what I'm doing. Karen, yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, I could have a whole conversation about that with you, Lynn. Oh my God, I'm not even going to go there with the medications right now. But yeah, I could totally relate to what you just shared. And thank you all for all your beautiful sharing. I love this class. I love this class. Um, what really jumped out at me was the last useless journey, which he talks about in the introduction to chapter 4, and which it's just so to me represents, that we don't have to go through this bullshit anymore. This is this is the last useless journey. He tells us in chapter 4, in the introduction in paragraph 3, that the journey to the cross should be the last useless journey. Do not dwell upon it, but dismiss it as accomplished. It's over. It's done. And you don't have to keep crucifying yourself. Okay, if you want to, you can. You continue to persecute yourself as long as you like, he tells you. And for me, it's like, we have this decision, like I was just talking about, decisions are continuous. That's from Rules for Decision. And this is what we're talking about here, that we are making teaching all the time. Everybody teaches and teaches all the time. Am I teaching the crucifixion, or am I teaching the resurrection? The resurrection is awakening from the dream of the crucifixion. The last useless journey is continually thinking that I am this body, that I am this person, that I can be harmed, that I can be crucified, in any way, shape, or form, and be affected by it, that it can actually have an effect on me. So, this last useless journey represents release from fear to anyone who understands it. It's a release from sin, guilt, and fear. For me, it's a release from the ego thought system. And what did Jesus say? That I overcame the cross. I overcame the cross. I overcame the ego thought system. I listen to only one voice, and so can you. It takes effort and great willingness, but it can be done. So it's that last useless journey of believing in this linear time that the past is really happened, and I'm still punishing myself for it, feeling guilty over it today and punishing for it and thinking that something bad's going to continually happen and I don't, there it goes. It just can go on and none of it is true. It's exactly what you guys were saying. It's a story. So this last useless journey, I just love the whole idea of it, that it's just a belief in the linear time of past, present, and future. There's only right here, there's only right now. This is the awakening, this is the resurrection, and this is where the Holy Spirit is. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Yes, 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 yes. And we are there together. Mickey, yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, I love that line that Karen just focused on, and my eye automatically went to the line before. I've already told you that you can always call on me to share my decision. So if I can't believe that that was the last useless journey, if I start questioning and or saying, how could he not have suffered? How is any of this possible? How, because the ego is going to want to question everything in this course. I can always go back and call on the Christ mind, call on the strength of those who came before me, call on anyone who I think is firmly installed in the right mind, and say, please help me understand this. Please help me see that this has already been done, that it's over. The crucifixion was the last useless journey. You don't have to go through any of this again. And because I question things all the time. I frequently say, how could he not have suffered? I know I would, but I can always say, okay, help me see this rightly. And that's the beauty of this whole course. Help me see it. Help me see the way that you do. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Mickey. Yes. And that's the whole course. He's just telling us to call on him, ask him, and we got folks going around saying, well, there really wasn't a Jesus, so what are you doing? But the course tells us, he says, call on me, talk to me, let me know what's going on. I'm right here. And I can I can explain it to you in a way that you'll really understand, and in a way that will really be helpful to you and helpful to your teaching. So if you got questions like that, ask the Holy Spirit, ask Jesus, how is it that you didn't suffer? And once you see that it was because nothing here is real. Not even the body, not anything is real. And that, we all know that, we talk about it all the time. But the living example of it that says, yeah, I'm not a body, and looky here, you can do all these things to this thing, and it does not affect me in any way at all. That is just your story of what's going on. So anyway, our time is up. I want to thank everybody for being here with us. Wonderful group. I love you, Iris. I love you, everyone here. That's so precious to me. And so I'm going to go ahead and close out the meeting. Does anybody have anything to say before we close out? Let me stop the share. Let's see, Dove waving. Yep. All right. Love you guys all. Talk to y'all tomorrow.